We just got to like get the vibe up. And that's what I feel like so much of this is about, is like getting in that right headspace to be able to do the things that we need to do efficiently and intentionally without wasting time. And that's where I'm at, because I got a lot of kids around here and that's what I need to do. So first, I want to start with some shout outs, because we have some like awesome stuff happening on our team. And really, this is all to come together and really chat and get into that. And that's how we're inspired, right? When we get to celebrate each other's successes and lift each other up. And we have a new success starter on our team tonight, and that's Lindsay Russell. And I don't know if you guys know, but success starter is like crushing your business right out of the gate. And that really starts to lay the foundation for your business right away. It means that you're hitting Success Club the first I think it's the first 6 months, 3 of the first 6 months of your business. And it not only brings you perks like getting a ticket to Summit, but it allows you to really start to build your business, lay that foundation, and it can take you, wherever you want it to go. So it's a really good thing to aim for right at the beginning. And we have a new success starter. So congratulations, Lindsay. And a couple other things I wanted to shout out. First of all, you guys, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm going to share that I'm fluent in sign language. And I originally was going to be a sign language teacher of the deaf, but I went a different way. But I do use that every day when I am teaching. I'm on mat leave right now. And this is the sign for clapping hands in sign language. So we're going to give some clapping hands to Megan right now, because she is just killing it for our team. And she's always putting in the legwork behind the scenes to really set us all up for success. And it's up to us to take that and run with it. And without her posts and her hard behind the scenes work, like she's doing for these groups that we're in all the time, we wouldn't have the success in our team that we're having. So we need to shout her out for that. And a couple of people on my team that I want to shout out. I have 2 people specifically that I want to name, because, success starts right at the edge of our comfort zone. It takes a lot of guts to take those steps when we're scared. And so I have Heather and Hillary on my team who have started to take those steps, like inviting, putting themselves out there in social media, and really just diving into those business activities that need to happen every day. And it's showing within their posts and how they're showing up every day. So I want to shout them out, because that's where it starts. And we need to know that we recognize people on this team for doing all the things. And I'm really proud of them. And I can't wait to watch where they go with that. So I don't know if anybody has anyone they want to shout out. You can just unmute yourself or throw it in the chat, and I will try to figure out how to check the chat out.
Hey, I'm going to.
Hey, Stacey, go ahead.
I'm going to shout out my coach, Andrea. She's on the call tonight, and I'm super excited. She is just on fire and running with this business, and I'm so excited to be partnered with her and doing this together, because honestly, her husband sounds like my husband. She's got fire and passion, and I'm just so excited to be partnered with her. So I'm expecting that she will be getting those perks that you were mentioning earlier, Brianne, and I can't wait to see where she goes with this. Super excited.
Way to go, Andrea. Awesome. Glad to have you. Anyone else? Once, twice. Okay, feel free to throw it in the chat if you want me to. Oh, Michelle's trying to unmute.
Right, I didn't unmute myself. I have 2 shout outs. Number 1, I want to shout out Shauna, who hit Success Club 10 last month, like out of nowhere, like in the last few days. She just was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And she did it. And I'm so proud of you, Shauna. You just put your blinders on and you went for it. So great job. Another person I'd like to shout out who's not on this call. I'm going to yell at her for not being on this call, but she's not on this call. And that is Jordan. And Jordan and I both got an email saying that she is as well a success starter and will be invited to be in one of the pilot test groups for one of the new programs. So, but we don't know what program it is yet. It might be Control Freak. It might be the next program. We don't know yet. So I'm going to shout her out officially when we know what program she's going to be in. But super proud of her because she has just started coaching, I think in July or June, she started coaching. So she's been doing amazing. And I'm so proud of my whole team. And we're going to make it a good September and a good fall. We're 2020. We're starting back to new today. So, and that's it.
That's awesome. And, you know, that's another example. Lately, they've been asking success starters to go into some test groups. And from experience, test groups are so awesome and it's amazing for your business, but it's also like a really good experience to be involved in. So those are always some fun perks. And I would wonder, it might be 9-week Control Freak. That'd be freaking awesome. And this is like just a small example of the community and the support that we can build through, you know, just meeting people online. Like it's crazy that literally we just meet each other online and we have this amazing community. Anyway, I'm going to move on. So tonight's topic is kind of like a mix of the two things that I feel like I'm the most passionate about because it's something that kind of makes me move forward every day. So I'm going to talk about how incorporating morning routine has helped me with my mindset, but not only with my mindset, but help me to level up my business. And it all started back in November. So this is when I kind of really feel like the birth date of my business happened was November, because I was doing the things before that, but it was like a click happened and that's when things started to fall into place, and it can happen for anybody. And I'm going to talk about how that kind of got started for me. So first of all, before I had any of these things in place, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I was coming from a place, I was committed to work in the business. You know, I was an Emerald coach kind of right off the bat. And I had 3 kids at the time. I think I was pregnant then too. And I was just feeling like all over the place. I felt like all I was doing was work all day. And I still was feeling overwhelmed. But even though I felt like I was taking those actions towards, you know, creating the business I wanted for myself, I wasn't necessarily seeing those results. And I was just like, man, this is a lot of work to not be reaping those benefits, right? And I'm not saying that we're not in a season where we need to hustle at times and things like that, but we do need to be working smarter and not harder and efficiently and intentionally, because we are busy. Most of us are moms, we're working women. We want to be able to enjoy those freedoms that it will eventually give us, but we also have to know how to manage our time and be efficient. And another thing that I noticed was my mom brain would kick in and I would be like constantly dragged away from something, and then I'd have to come back and I'd be in the middle of it and I'd be starting all over again. And it was like, you know, you could never just complete a task, get it done. Things were all over the place. And I hate that feeling. To me, that's like feeling of out of control. And I'm not about that. And I know for myself, when I want things to feel in control or in alignment, I need to have a habit and I need to have a system. And I think that's how, you know, having 4 kids and being a teacher, that's kind of like how my brain works. But I also know that I need to create that in my life. And it kind of worked like that with, you know, when you first start your health and fitness, right? Like you have to make that work in your life no matter what's going on, because that's the only way you're going to be consistent. So I had to figure out how this business was going to be fitting into my life every day, but how it was going to be able to pay me in the way that I wanted it to, and the way I still want it to. So something I told myself was I was going to treat this business, if I treat it like a business, it'll pay like a business. I'm going to go to my notes here because I did take a few notes. Okay. And so it all kind of realized, like, so it backing up a little bit, I was a night owl. I would want to stay up and have wine and Netflix and whatever and do that stuff after my kids went to bed because I felt like that was my alone time. But then I'd be waking up 100 times a night sleeping in until the kids woke me up, feeling triggered, throwing Cheerios at them, sitting on the couch, drinking 100 cups of tea until I was forced to kind of like actually deal with them. Then I would get changed. And this is when I started working out. So I would add a workout in, and that did get better, but then it kind of got like flatlined, right? And I knew I needed to just level up. And then Megan reached out to me and was like, listen, mornings are where it's at. And I was like, have you met me? I'm not a morning person. I don't do mornings. I've never done mornings ever in my life. And that's not happening. And she said to me, like, give it 3 days. Like, what do you got to lose? Try for 3 days. It's going to suck, but it's going to be awesome. Like, just try 3 days. Like, what do you have to lose? And I'm like, well, I can never give up on a challenge. Like, if someone challenges me, I can't be like, no, I'm not going to do it. So I tried it. And you guys, in 3 days, I was just like, I've been missing this my whole life. Like, I can't believe I've never done this before. And side note, it actually helps you sleep a lot better at night and go back to sleep after you've woken up with your kids when you were getting up early and actually moving your mind and moving your body in that way. So it sounds counterproductive, but I promise you, like, that's what our bodies are meant to do. It's meant to be moving during those times of the day. And then I thought to myself, like, yeah, I might get an extra hour and a half of sleep, but is that sleep really serving me? I'm like, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm the type of sleeper that literally, like, a noise in my house wakes me up, and then I'm not back to sleep and I'm moving around and whatever. So from like 5 a.m. until I got to get up at 7:30, it's like not great sleep anyway. So could that be serving me better? And you know what? The actions that I decided to put into place actually give me energy during those times of day, those times of the day, instead of that sleep that I thought I was getting, because it's really not serving me. And then, I was going to bed a bit earlier too, which helped. So I decided to give it a shot. 3 days changed my life, basically. And the way I think about it is that, no, I don't want to get up at 5 a.m, especially when the baby gets up at 4:15 to eat. And then I just got to stay up. That really sucks. But I changed my mindset in the way that I thought, if this is a business, someone's got to be there to flip that open sign. Because if no one's there to flip that open sign, then it's never going to be open for business, and it's not going to pay me like a business. So when that alarm went off at 5 a.m, I had on my phone, open for business, 5 to 7. So those are my business hours. May not seem like a lot, but there's a lot that can be done in 2 hours of uninterrupted time with no kids. Side note, my kids half the time are there, but I'm okay to ignore them during that time. They can get a TV show from 5 to 7 if they're up. But like, and that actually our bodies do have a lot of energy during that time. As much as we feel like we're half asleep, we can bang things out really quick. And I'm going to tell you kind of what my flow is so that I can get those IPAs, or those income producing activities, out of the way before 7 o'clock, when my kids need to have lunches ready and breakfast on the table. So like I said, it needed to be systematic and it needed to be a habit. I needed to flip that open sign, and it needed to be open for business. And then I thought to myself, when I still wanted to hit snooze, I told myself I would act as if I was that diamond coach. I'm acting as if I'm that 5-star diamond coach that I'm going to be eventually. And how would she show up? Would she sleep in till 6 o'clock and do a half-ass hour routine, or would she get up and get moving and get it done so that she could not think about it for the rest of the day? And those little things are, I don't know, for me, it's in my mind. That little mind thing, that's what I need to do to get myself going. So act as if you are that person that you want to be, and then you kind of rise to the occasion. There's so many times in our lives that we have to rise to the occasion. I mean, I found out I was pregnant 4 times, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? You rise to the occasion, you figure it out. Just like lots of stuff that comes up in life. So we are able to trick ourselves into doing that. And it's, act as if it's that person that you want to be, and you'll naturally go towards the actions that help you to get there. So I'm going to go through, I think I have like 6 tips of kind of like how we get this going in our day. And I know I'm saying this is morning routine, but there's nurses out there. I understand you guys start at like the crack of dawn. So this may not work for you on those days, but that time in your day where it's not serving you, and you could be using it to serve you. So just take what I'm saying and plop it into that time that you know is going to be the most efficient for you, and maybe you're not utilizing it as best as you can. So I've nicknamed my morning business hours my mind gym, because I used to get up and do my workout first thing in the morning, but for me in my season of life right now, I'm able to do that workout with my kids, with them around during the day or other times in the day. What's more important for me right now is silence and working on my mindset. And so I use that morning time as my mind gym. I'm working out my mind when I get up, to be able to fuel me and service me to work my body out and everything else out throughout the day. So that's what I kind of have coined that in my mind. So I just say, like, I'm going to do my mind gym. And so in order for that to happen, I have to prepare the night before. So I live on a 2-level house, and I have a little office space downstairs, and that's where I go in the morning. But before I go to sleep at night, I throw my clothes down there, and have that all ready, because something about getting up and getting dressed right away, for me anyway, really helps me to feel like I'm on and ready to go. Because if I'm in my comfy robe and I'm in my blanket and I'm sipping my tea in the morning, I'm not as efficient, and I'm not going through those IPAs as efficiently as I could. So this is all about training your mind to just do the sucky things and push through the suck when you don't want to do it. So having my clothes downstairs ready to change into, so I don't wake anybody up, is super helpful for me. So then I come to my little area, and something I always do, I'm a faithful person. Other people tap into just their inner self, whatever that is for you. But the next thing I would say that I do is just like take a minute, even a minute on your timer, and just like get yourself in the zone, whatever you need to do to get there. And if you don't know what to do to get there, you can start just on our BOD app. Now we have lots of meditations and things that you can do to kind of get yourself in the zone, because you need to be there to be able to bang these things out, right? So I have a light a candle, I say a couple prayers, and then I'm kind of like ready to go. It wakes me up. The next thing I do, what order do I have this in? Starting off your day in silence is just a really great way to like get your mind thinking clearly. Because if you're like we've experienced, maybe being woken up by your kids or by your alarm and ready to run out the door, your mind is not ready to go along with you. So it's all cluttered, and having that couple of minutes in the morning really helps. So the next thing I started to do to get my mindset in the right place, I really believe that we need to create a positive mindset in the morning. We're not going to wake up feeling like that every day, especially when our brains are foggy and they're not working that early. So I do 2 things. I pick an affirmation card from our blend package that we've gotten, and it just helps me to set an intention, positive focus for the day. I kind of like keep it where I can see, and that's just I figure that's my sign from, God, the universe, that this is what I need to be thinking about today. So I start with that, and then I do my 5-minute journal. I only got 5 minutes, guys. I got to be like quick. So I use my affirmation in that 5-minute journal, and I write the things I'm grateful for, and things I would like to see happen for the day. And that really just focuses my mind and gets me kind of in the forward motion. And I'm all about upping my vibe, because if I'm like low and drained and not feeling it, that's how I'm showing up to the people that I want to support. And if I am the other way, if I'm opposite and I'm high vibe, kind of like I am right now, then it's going to come across a lot better, right? People are going to understand and really feel the passion that that you have behind doing all of these things, right? So those are the things that put my mind in that space early in the morning. So then I take a few minutes and do my personal development. I want to talk about personal development for a minute, because we can sometimes see it on that tracker or just hear that we're doing personal development and just do it for the sake of doing it. But you guys, that's not the point of it. The point is to find growth through it. I actually found in, gosh, what book did I read it in? I want to say it's whatever the last one I read was, I forget. Or I heard it through Keith Callahan or someone, about doing a little survey to find out which area of personal development you need to be focusing on. So is it confidence? Is it leadership? Is it mindset? Is it, there's all kinds of other areas. And then that's where you focus. And it doesn't have to be reading. It can be listening. It can be doing whatever, but it has to involve the action. If you don't take the action, there's absolutely no reason to be doing personal development. It's a waste of time. So it's a waste of your time to sit there and just read a book for the sake of reading it if you're not going to actually put those things into action. The reason lately I've been doing personal development is to up my vibe to take those actions. So I'm reading leadership books that get me in that high vibe state to do those things that I know I need to do. And if your personal development's not doing that for you, then you need to switch it up, because it's then becomes a waste of time and it becomes not effective. And we need to be working smarter, not harder. And those are the things that we kind of have to be focusing on. Okay, so the next thing that I do, and this is kind of the thing that takes maybe the most of my time. So I've tried so many journals along the way. I've tried planners. I bought the planners, bought the calendars, bought all that stuff, and that doesn't work. I just need a book. I do get the pretty books from Chapters. Treat myself to a pretty book, but it just has lines. It's not anything fancy. I take a blank page, put the date at the top. I put goals, and I write out the goals that I am focusing on. I had a conversation with Megan today and Michelle File about goals. And one thing that we all agreed on was that there's something to be said for just writing it out every single day. Like if it's nothing, if we don't achieve that goal, it's something we're stretching towards. And if you have it closed in a book and you don't see it from when you set it in January 2019 or January 2020, then you have an excuse to kind of like not show up, right? If you're writing it out every single day, then you have no excuse not to show up for yourself. It's only yourself you have to blame. So the awareness of what we are working for is so important. And that can be your drive. And you guys, how you hear like your why, it's what you need to be working, what you need to fuel you. My why changed. And I came to Megan and told her this, like, I was working for a while and pushing. And I was like, but what am I really pushing for? Like, am I actually going to like quit my job and stay home forever? Like, I didn't really know. And it wasn't something that was pushing me. I wasn't seeing a ton of success early on. So I was just like doing all this stuff. And I'm like, well, why am I doing this? And I was going by my competitive nature. I wasn't going by like the drive that for a reason. And it wasn't until I was pregnant with number 4. And I remember being home on maternity leave last time and having to go back to work that I actually realized like I need a little bit of flexibility in this. I love teaching, but I need to be able to design our life how it's going to work with 4 kids. When my son's having a meltdown and won't put his snow pants on and is absolutely needing a hug, but we got to get to the bus. I want to have a flexibility to be able to drive him to school and not have to, strap him in a car seat screaming and crying and drop him on someone's doorstep and then go to work to someone else's kids. So I had moments like that where I was just like, yeah, okay, if I don't take action now, like I'm not going to be able to change anything. But that doesn't have to be your why. It needs to be something that comes to you, and it may not come to you right away. Sometimes we're just doing this work and pushing along for something and it'll come, but you have to kind of think about it and kind of get there at some point. But just to know it can change over time too. Maybe it's at first you just want to pay for your Shaco because you don't want to have to pay out of pocket. And then it becomes, well, I want to pay for that car payment because I want a better car than I have. And it can be those things, right? But it can change over time. So that was a side note, completely off track of where it was. But awareness goals, I write it out every single day. My goals, my short-term goals, what I want for the month. And then I put my ultimate goal. Every single day, I write my ultimate goal that is September 2021. And I'm putting it out there because I put it out to every single day on my social media that this is what I'm doing. So if I fail, y'all can can know, that's what I need apparently to show up every day, that I'm going to be able to decide to work potentially 50% in September 2021 when I need to go back to work. Whether I decide to do that depends on the job and situation that I have and stuff. But like, I want the freedom to decide that. I want to know that I have that money there to do that if I want to. And I'm pushing really hard right now to be able to do that. And it starts with this morning routine because you all know I got a lot of kids. So organize. And so then I have to organize my time, and I organize it on this sheet of paper. So then I write my affirmations, my prayers, my kind of manifestations and visualizations that I'm kind of like looking towards to kind of keep myself going. And you guys, I take a minute each day to kind of think, what do I need today? It doesn't have to be the same every day. It's just like, what do I need to focus on? This month I decided it was leadership month. So my affirmations and my thoughts to myself are around that. And it's changing kind of based on the growth I need to have and what I've achieved and where I'm going. And then I write out my to-dos. So this is besides our business activity tracker or Success Club tracker, because that is a given. That is a non-negotiable. It happens every night, every day. By the end of the day, they're done. These are the things I need to do anyway, or above and beyond. So it's like, I have to check on that share cart. I have to, check in with this person, whatever, all those things that are in your brain that you're like, I got to do this. I got to do this at some point today. Write it down on your paper so you don't have to keep it in your brain, because we all need as much room in there as we can, and we need to be thinking clearly. So just get it all out, brain dump it on your page. And then before the end of the night, you can come back and just kind of check and see if you're there. And again, this is what works for me. This may not work for you. This is how my brain works. But I always find that other people sharing, you can kind of have maybe a baseline and go from there and what will work for you. And kind of my last thing that I do, you guys, it's eat that frog. It's like, get that, shitty thing that you don't want to do out of the way first, like get it done. And if you have a timer on it, even better, because you'll race against the clock, you'll get that done. And then you'll be like, okay, I can breathe. I can move on and do more fun things. I've gotten the inviting out of the way, or I got that conversation out of the way, because there's nothing like being paralyzed with messages in your inbox that are probably a no, that you don't even want to open because you don't want to have to think about that response or answer that question. When you're in that high vibe state, you can fly through those things and they will not go on your back at all. They will not bother you. They will not interfere with you. If you put it off all day and you are like, okay, I'm going to wait till nap time till it's quiet, and then I'm going to answer all these questions, you're just going to be affected by it. And Megan, I'm so guilty of that. That's why I'm saying this to you guys, because I'm like the worst. Or even like if I know like I have to explain something that's going to take me a little while, I'm like, okay, I'll do that at this time. It's much easier because we say less words when we have less time. So we just go in there and get it done, put a timer on and get that stuff done. And I'm talking about inviting because I'm assuming that's where most of us kind of find that thing that we kind of like put off, or answering those messages, whatever it is, because the other stuff means we don't have to show up as much, right? So the thing I do before 7 o'clock is eat that frog. And whatever that is for you, you need to get it done before that time, before your business closes for the morning and your IPAs are done. I'm not saying I don't work throughout the day, because I definitely do. I do like, the stories, and I do the post, and I do the other things. But the things that, I want to put off are the things I get done first. So think that's about where it's at. But all of that to say, that routine is what helps my mindset move in a forward motion to take the actions to get where I want to be. And you guys, at the end of the day, 90% of this is mindset, 10% of this is the actual action. So if we're not spending the time in your mind gym to actually make that mindset stuff happen, then none of this is going to kind of be long lasting. And yes, we've all can see success by just taking those actions daily, but if you want to build a business to see long-term success, we have to have some way of having this systematically fit into our busy lives to be able to get this done. So that's where I'm at, and that's kind of where things are for me. It's ever evolving, but yeah, it's kind of where it's at. And I hope that was a little bit of value for you. I would love to answer any questions if I can figure out how to work this chat or jump in. And I'm happy to share, like, too, if anybody ever wants to see like what my journal looks like or any of that stuff, I'm happy to just DM me and I can send that over to you. Cause I know sometimes visualizing that can kind of help too.
I loved all of that. That was like so good to hear you break it down like that. I have a question, not necessarily for myself, but I think because it will help some other people. Because I remember, like, I really do remember this sort of like turning point for you. And we talked about that earlier today. And I had actually forgotten about how you had messaged me, just sort of saying like, I don't know what I'm working towards. Like, I know what I'm supposed to do and I know these goals that I'm supposed to hit, but I do not know why I am showing up and why I've set these goals and what I'm doing. I'm seeing like a lot of head nods. So I feel like this is something that people are really relating to. And then I remember you got, and I think, remember when I had said earlier, I was like, there was a part of me at one point where I was like, am I going to lose Brianne? And I think it was maybe around then when you were kind of like, I just don't know, like, I know what I'm supposed to do and I'm doing the things, I know what I'm working towards, but I don't know why I'm working towards them. And that was the moment where I was like, oh gosh, I hope I'm not losing her. But then you came back and you were like, whew, here are my, like, you had like everything just like spewed out right in front of you. And I was like, oh yeah, she's serious. Like, she's done some major internal work to like move from point A to point B. And you then knew exactly what you were working towards and where you were going and why you were going there. So can you explain how you got to that point? Like, what kind of work did you have to do to get that clarity to why you're doing this?
So that's what I was saying when I was mentioning that, like, we can take these actions over time and we can see some small successes, but if we're not, finding that belief and that confidence and taking that time to work on our mindset, then we're not going to be long-term successful. So I found myself November, I remember when it was, because I went to a live event, which, if I know we can't do live events right now, but like that literally is fire. Like, I was messaging Michelle Pasky being like, blah, 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 blah. She was like, holy shit, where are you at? Where are you coming up with all this stuff? I was like, we need to do this. We're going to do this. Let's do this. She was like, oh my God. And it was in November, and they said, when we're back here in April, which didn't happen, unfortunately, write on this wall the goal you want to have for yourself in April. And like, when you're starting out, the goal is always diamond, right? I'm like, I'm going to be diamond by April. I'm like, really? Can I don't want to write this down here and take this picture for my social and like actually not achieve it. Like, how am I actually going to do that? And I started thinking like, okay, but I can't get there because I don't know why I'm going to do it. Like, why am I going to wake up at 5 a.m. and do this? Because I don't have a reason. And I like sleep. I didn't take a step back from my business at all, but I needed to just be like, hold up, like, what? I need to have a way of like supporting myself other than just like pure drive and grit, like in a challenge. Like, that's not enough to keep me going long term. So that's when I had to dive into the personal development side of like the belief for myself. Like, what? Like, how could I actually, I never thought that staying home from work was ever going to be an option, because like who does that other than Megan? But like, how could I actually do that? Like, I'm home, I'm a teacher, like, and what would my family think? Like, my family, they would think I'm crazy, like, so I just thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it without the approval of everyone around me. I have to decide to do this for myself, which meant that I needed to get up before everybody. I needed to not have to worry about other people. And so I had to stop and just think about like, is that something I want? It wasn't even necessarily that I wanted that, but I knew that I wanted to make income. And so it really I had to dive into my belief system in myself and realize like, yeah, I can achieve the things I want with putting in the work. So it was the personal development, but not the fluffy spiritual entertainment personal development. It's really nice to have those positive affirmations in your mind, but like if it's not going to drive you to do the things that you want to do, then it's not worth doing. So I had to really like sit down and think about like, what do I need to fuel myself? And honestly, putting a system in place was what really helped me to kickstart that. Did I answer all that? I don't know if there's anything I forget.
Yeah, I think that maybe for some of you guys who were like head nodding during that, do you guys have any questions regarding that? Because I think we're on to something here. Like, I think that probably the majority of people on our team might be feeling that way to some degree of like, you love this and you want to keep doing this. Like, it's not like a bad thing where you should be like, oh crap, does this mean like I shouldn't be doing this? Does this mean that I don't want to do this anymore? If you're feeling like that, I don't think that's the case. And I think it's just more of like, you need to really, this is like a turning point for you. When you get to this point in the business where you're like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, what am I really doing here? You have this option of like, okay, I'm just going to take a step back because I just don't know I don't know why I'm doing this. Or you do what Brianne did and you completely get major clarity. And I mean, she just then went guns a-blazing, got to Diamond right away, and has just like come out with these leadership skills that I had never seen previous, and confidence, right? And belief. So I think if you're sitting there maybe with like a little pit in your stomach being like, oh God, like what am I doing? I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you're at a turning point, and you know, I think that most coaches get to this turning point and feel that little uncomfortable feeling. And unfortunately, it's just kind of like dawning on me through this call. What probably ends up happening is that they do then go, I think I'm just going to take a step back because this is feeling uncomfortable now.
And it's the fear sets in. Yeah.
Yeah, the fear sets in. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know what? It's probably easier if I just take a step back, because moving forward now is getting to be uncomfortable, and because you're at that point where you now have to level up and you now have to do some major work internally to grow, to get to the next stage, to get to that clarity. And most humans want to play safe and be comfortable. So the natural reaction is, I'm just going to take a step back. And then they phase out of this business. And I mean, we see it all the time, right? I've been here long enough to see that pattern. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I know why it happens. So yeah, I'm going to stop saying the same thing over and over again. But, you know,
I was just going to say too, like that's the point where we make the decision between being a hobby coach and a business owner. And that can happen at any point in your business. You can have this like the second you walk in and be like, okay, it doesn't matter what rank you are. This can happen at 5-star Diamond because some people get there like that for whatever reason, or, you know, it can happen the day you start as an Emerald and you become an Emerald coach. It's the time where you're like, okay, I have to make this hard decision. Am I going to take this forward and like put this out there, not be scared and say, I'm a business owner and I am an entrepreneur and this is how I have to run this business? Or am I going to kind of play it safe and be like, okay, no, I'm just share my workouts and, you know, that's fine too. Like whatever you decide to do, but it's almost like that turning point. And then we have to decide, are we going to decide that what we want for ourselves is to level up and push past the fear again and move past that comfort zone where we know is, you know, where growth happens? Or are we going to decide to continue to stay where we're at because we want that for ourselves and we like that, which is fine too, but it has to be an educated decision. And right at that point is when we need to start focusing internally on ourselves. And that's freaking scary, guys. Like it's scary to like look inside and kind of put that out there and go through that process. So I think that's kind of like where I was at then. and it can happen at any point to anybody at any time. So yeah, you don't have to be like, pushing for done, like whenever, that is for you.
Yeah. Yeah, Shauna, do you have anything, or Michelle McMahon? I know that you two, I just noticed were like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this. So if you guys have any questions, comments, like definitely pop in.
Okay, so I feel like I've done a lot of personal development, like it's all I've done in the past year, because I've also been going through a shitty divorce, and so I feel like my mindset is pretty good, but I also have this like block that I have kind of starting, because I feel like I can't get to Emerald like everyone else can. So I was just wondering if you had any suggestions on how to push past that barrier. I feel like I'm ready to run, I just don't know. I don't know I can't find my shoes. Where are the shoes? So that's kind of just how I feel at the moment.
And I can relate to you in that fact too. Like you hit that point, different points of your business, right? Like I feel that as well in certain aspects of my business. I want to be leading a giant team, and I'm like, acting as if. So no one needs to know that you're not a diamond coach. Like act as if you already are and do the things. So for example, I know right off the bat, like Michelle told me right off the bat, you had your own wellness club going, your own challenge group. Like you were all in right away, and that got you where you are now. You want to level up and have coaches or do business, you need to be doing that stuff right away. Like act as if, do those leadership things that it takes to get there, and then you will get there. And I know you know that because you do that stuff every day. Like you were really working so hard on yourself, and some of those skills that you're doing in other areas of you can tap into and really use it. But I think the big thing is you have to rise to the occasion that you have gotten to, and you will get there. And it's really hard, really easy to let our mindset go like, well, I don't have the ability to sign my husband up as a coach to become Emerald. I have to work a little bit harder, and I have to, let that be your reason. Let that be the reason why you're just going to like blow past Emerald and go right to Diamond. Like, no one says you have to stay there. But it like that is where you need to focus your mindset growth, right? Like not in the negative space of like, I can't get there. It's like, no, I'm doing it anyway. You're going to tell me I can't do it. Well, I'm going to do it even better and bigger and faster and stronger. And so that would be an example of where you could maybe focus your personal development, because maybe you need growth and confidence. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Like for me, I need growth and confidence and leadership. I said to Megan, I want to do a call this month. Put me on. This is my goal. I didn't wait for her to ask me. I just told her I was doing it. And hijacked it, but that's me acting as if, right?
And so bossy too. Just want to throw that out there.
Sorry, what'd you say?
That's just you being bossy as well. Just
yeah. I'm really good at that. That's why I'm a good leader. But like, you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not waiting to have, a team of, 50 people on here to do a team call. I'm deciding to do it anyway. And so maybe you need to do that. Maybe you need to just decide on the thing that maybe is your area that you want to work on. Do that scary thing, and it'll give you the confidence to show up differently. And then people will see you as confident and want to have a part of that. That's what I would say. Go ahead, Michelle. I'm answering your hand.
You're a teacher, so I have to. I have an idea too, Shauna, and this is something for me too. So I'm finding at different levels of this business, I'm finding I have to switch my personal development into different ways of where I need to grow. I honestly, first of all, it was just like my whole mindset at first. And then when people started seeing me as a leader, I didn't even yet see myself as a leader. And that kind of really scared me. I'm like, holy shit, these people think I have it together. I felt I had to step up as a leader. So then I really started jumping into personal development about being a leader. So Built to Last by Keith Callahan. is so good. I read that one.
We all crushed on Keith.
And I feel like I need to reread that it's an easy read too, but every few months I feel like I need to reread that. So that is a really good book. So I started that, and then I was like, yeah, damn, I'm a badass. Like, yeah, of course I'm a leader. And when people underneath me started showing up more as a leader in themselves, I'm like, okay, I need to step it up as a leader a little bit here too. So when I did get people underneath me, then I kind of developed into that leader too. But I did not feel like a leader at first when I started, because I was honestly just trying to be a leader in my own life. So I kind of stepped into it, and then my journey kind of changed with personal growth. So then I did leadership, and then you came along and opened up my spiritual world, and then I dabbled in that a bit, and now I'm kind of on like a leadership spiritual universe. Like, it's just up from there. You kind of grow. So, and I just listened to this podcast about Jay Shetty. I just started listening to Jay Shetty. He's actually pretty good. But he says we live in a weakness culture where we're constantly trying to improve our weaknesses. But imagine if we still put that time and energy into our strengths and then watch those strengths grow. So I was like, he's right. Because like, oh yeah, I need to improve this. I need to improve this. But maybe when something you're really good at, you keep honing in on that too. That kind of helps you too. So just maybe take a look to see if there's different areas you might want to shift. But like, as you grow, like all you need is that one person, Shauna, and you're gonna be like, okay, I need to step it up as a leader. And then people are going to feed off of your vibe. And they're like, I don't know where Shauna's going, but I want to be on that bus. And they're going to hop on the bus with you. And you are just going to take them on this crazy journey as well, just along. And you just don't know when it's going to happen. And when it does, you're like, okay, here it's happening. And you get really excited, and people really feed off of your excitement. That's what I've noticed in my journey. So, but I find when I'm on a low zone, I'm kind of in a low zone right now because of an injury, back to school, renos, all that jazz. Nobody's feeding off my vibe because I'm not vibrating at all. But when I'm done and next week all the kids are in school, I'm going to be riding pretty high. So just watch my stories, they're going to change. So you will get there. I know you will. And, but you're doing all the work, and you're doing a really good job at it. And I know when it does happen for you, Shauna, like you're going to leave us all in the dust. Yeah.
And another thing to remember too, like, you know, first of all, it's really important to take into account our successes, because we're so quick to just be like, whatever, like, you know, blow past that, right? But, you know, we need, I don't know, I was going somewhere with that. I forgot. Anyway, I'll think of it again. I'll chime in. See, this is the mom brain. That's why I have to have system. I didn't have that written down, so that went out the window. Anyway, sorry. There was a good thing there. I know it. Any other, hey, Michelle, other question?
I think I really needed to hear this. I think this came at a kind of a good time. I don't know, like I mentioned in the chat earlier, like, I just feel like I've been doing the work, and I'm like, for what? Like, I'm just like, I don't know. It's just like, I enjoy it. There's nothing that I don't like. I love fitness. I enjoy sharing my journey, enjoying like inspiring other women. But I'm like, why am I doing all this other work? Like,
yeah.
So just trying. I'm not the only one that's kind of been like, that's experiencing this. It kind of makes me feel better knowing that you've kind of experienced in Shauna, like, you know. So I'm glad it's not just me kind of being like, oh, I'm tired, and, you know, it's back to school, and kind of like overwhelmed. I'm just glad I'm like, it's just kind of like, okay, like now I know what I need to do, and I'm going to focus on that.
And it'll come to you too, like the reason why you're doing it, because beyond, like, at first it's, you know, the products, and it's the accountability, and then it's like, okay, well, I've seen a little bit of success here, what can I do with this? But if we don't necessarily need to have that, you know, I'm going to quit my job type of you know, mentality, because we might like what we do, right? We may be happy with that, and we want to do both, but it's about growing yourself through that and learning, and it'll come to you eventually. But it's about facing the scariness of the insides of us and like kind of facing that, I think, and showing up and to that. So I think that's kind of the scary part. And the other thing I was going to say, it came back to me, is like something I struggle with all the time, and it takes conscious effort. And I notice a huge difference in my business when I have it under control, is comparison. Like, and I would say I don't even do that, but like I do, because I look back and like, I'm like, okay, well, why am I watching these stories? The only reason why I'm watching these stories is to get ideas or to find out what she's doing that I could maybe do to get where they're at and do this to be able to get to that level. There's a point where it's not wrong to just not look at anyone's stories. We don't need to, like, and I know that might be harsh to say, and we love each other and we want to be there for each other, but it doesn't mean that it has to be in that way, because when you're in that vulnerable state of your mindset is in that vulnerable state, that is the thing that's going to take you down. It's not going to raise you up. Right. Same with like scrolling social media and reels, getting lost in, all of those things. It's just not feeding your soul in the way that you want it to, if you're trying to like up your vibe, up your energy, and move in a forward direction. So in the months that I just completely like cut those out, I, picked up a book for fun, which I haven't done since like forever. I, am connecting with my kids. I'm doing those sorts of things, going out to play. I'm turning my phone on. Don't know if you can do this, turn it on airplane mode or delete the apps, but you can still take your pictures and save them in Instagram so you can upload them later when you go on. That's what I do. So then you're not wasting your time, like, in your app and doing all that stuff. Like, you can just be intentional, get in and get out and be efficient, work smarter, not harder, when we're not stuck in that vicious cycle of, I need ideas. I'm not confident enough to make a decision on my own to know what I need to do. How am I going to promote this launch? I need to see what so-and-so is doing to know how I can put that out there to other people. Like, it's a constant battle in my mind to not do that. But that's where growth happens too. So I don't know if you guys relate to that, but just that's something I've been noticing this month and last month that made a big difference.
That's actually one of my action steps this week, is when I wake up, not to like scroll Instagram or Facebook, because I literally come into my spare room, I meditate, and then I pick my affirmation, but I'll spend about 10 minutes just scrolling through social media. Like, for what? Like, it's a really bad habit. So that's one of my action steps this week. And I've also set my timer to only watch TikTok for 10 minutes. Because I know it's a slippery slope, and like it'll be 2 hours, and I'm like, what the hell have I been doing? It's really bad.
Just delete it. It does not serve the purpose. I deleted mine.
If it's a guilty pleasure, here's two things. One thing, another coach that I know, she only lets herself watch TikTok after she's eaten that frog. So the thing that she hates to do the most, she does it. She rewards herself with 10 minutes of TikTok. So there you go.
Great. I do. That's what I do after I've done my power hour.
It's a mind F. It's all about like being a mind ninja and completely like just, tricking ourselves. And create before you consume. I read that somewhere, some book, something. But if I have my phone, I do not take my phone off of airplane mode until I'm like at the very end of my like system that I told you about, until I'm ready to eat that frog, because that's the only thing I need it for. I take a morning picture of what I'm doing in the morning, but I just save it on my phone and I upload it at like 8 o'clock when everything's done. I get my kids out the door. Like Megan said this to me one time. Someone said to her, like, why do we never see your kids like getting ready and getting out to school on the bus? Because she puts her phone away to get her kids out the door. Like, that's where our focus needs to be. And so if we know we have a deadline that we have to have this done by 7 o'clock, then the phone goes away, it goes put somewhere else in a different spot. Like, if you don't capture that funny moment that happened on the way out the door, then like, not a big deal. Like, life will go on. But create before you consume. And sometimes I find that's doing my post before I even turn airplane mode on, because I need to like focus and like be connected to be able to get that out onto paper or to my notes or whatever. I try to do as much before I can ever put my phone on. I just sleep with my phone on airplane mode, really. That's what I do. I don't know. I think that might be it. I don't know if there's any other questions. You can always count on me to talk your ear off for a really long time.
I just want to say, Brianne, that's such a good idea about the personal development, but like not putting it to action. I am guilty of that. Like I'll read the personal development, I'll read the questions, and then be like, all right, next chapter kind of thing. But then I think I'm like, oh, like Light is the New Black is like one of my favorite books. And I'm like, oh, I never did any of that. So what I'm doing now, I'm rereading it and doing the action steps, which I think that just makes sense. Like, why would you read the book and not do the work that the book is teaching you? So I think that was a really great point. I'm totally going to do that.
In the book that Brianne gave me, Everything is Figureoutable, is perfect for that because there's so many questions you have to answer, and it literally takes me like 3 days to get through a chapter because you have to do so much work. And I really like that about the book, and it makes you really have to stop and think, and what is it that you want, like how are you going to get over your fears, and how are you going to get over your excuses, and what is the big ass dream that you really want for your life. And I'm really thankful that you let me borrow it, Brianne.
Well, now you know why I was really late giving it to you. I thought it was going to be done like 2 weeks before because it took me forever. Good though, good work. Are we good? Are people tired of hearing us talk now? This is going to be a long call.
This was really good. Thanks, Brianne. This was really great I think everybody needs to hear this.
Awesome. Brianne, I'm trying to like not take over the call or anything, but I just have to say, okay. And then I was like, is she waiting for me to end? Because now this is just getting awkward.
Yeah.
Honestly, thank you so much for doing this call. And I want everyone just to take away a little bit of Brianne-ness tonight, because she did come to me like a couple weeks ago, or I don't even know, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Well, before I made the team calendar. So before September started, and she was like, she actually asked me, what do you need help with this month in the team? Like, I'm ready to step it up. I want to lead a team. I want to be a team leader. What do you like? So let me lead. What do you need help with? And I was like, oh my God, amazing. Like, thank you for asking me this. And she was like, put me down for a team call. I want to do a team call. I'm like, awesome. And then today I said to her, I was like, now, do you want me to like introduce you and like, go through all of that and hand it over to you? Or do you just want to run the call? And she was like, part of me wants to say, oh, introduce me. But then she was like, nope, I'm running the call. Just give me the link. I'm running the call. So she's acting as though. She is acting as though she has 150 little squares of coaches right now watching, and or 900, whatever. And she's just acting as though she got herself high energy for this call, to rock it, to lead it. And success for Brianne is inevitable because she has just leveled up, and she's no different than any of us. She's just acting as though. So I applaud you for this, because that's actually not an easy thing to do. It's almost like role playing, and I hate role playing. Like, I hate it. It makes me feel like such a moron. Like, I just hate role playing. So it takes courage to like step into this role and be like, okay, I'm doing it. Like, that takes massive courage to step up to this. So you did amazing. And I actually didn't, and I don't even know if you thought the call would go sort of the direction that it just kind of went off on here at the end.
Yeah.
But I actually think this is something that is so needed for us to continue to talk about, and for us to just be so aware of that happens in our business and with our coaches that we're bringing in. And it's just, I think it's something that deserves lots of conversations and lots of work, and just to acknowledge. So I'm really glad you sort of brought that to light. And just thank you for everything.
Thanks, Megan. You can stop hijacking my call now. We're done.
Sorry. It's all you now.
Thanks for sticking with us till the end, guys. It was a good one.
All right. Good night, you guys.
All right, bye.